Since the alleged murder of Rashard Brooks by former Atlanta policeman Gerald A, this burned-out Wendy's in southwest Atlanta has become the epicenter of Atlanta's anger, protests, and demands for police reform.
The black race is tired of the oppression. But after we get through marching, after we get through protesting, what are our next steps? And as a senior statesman here in this community and in this city, I've been pastoring now for 27 years in the historic Vine City community. In our community, we had similar issues, but we galvanized, we organized, and we strategized.
This was a call to action by the Save Our City coalition of activists, politicians, and prominent pastors who've been criticized. Pastor Darryl Winston says Black America has unfinished business in our struggle.
So here we are now with mass unrest and people of all ethnicity and people of goodwill are saying we must deal with this systemic evil. And the faith community has been criticized, sometimes unfairly, because we ignore that there are pastors and preachers who have been walking, marching, diffusing, but everybody does not have a prophetic mantle. Some pastors have the priestly mantle, and they will be inside of the church, teaching them when we reach them in the street. But then there are some of us who have that prophetic edge in the tradition of Dr. King, Ralph Abernathy, Y.T. Walker, Joshua Heschel, the great pastors and leaders, preachers who were in the street, prophetic tradition.
And this was purposely done on Juneteenth. That says something, doesn't it?
We understand that as it was 150 years ago, we are still dealing with economic disparities. We are still dealing with the masses of people who are shackled in poverty, shackled in pain, that we must address.
The massive protests that have swept the nation, the world, and Atlanta are largely led and fueled by millennials and Generation Z. So what role now for preachers?
But right now, we don't need fingers, we need a fist. And collaboration, working in unity. The Bible says how sweet it is for the brethren to dwell in unity. And in order for us to have unity, we got to first come together. And we got to know where we are, and we got to know where we're going and where we want to go, and we need to know the process, because it's going to take a process to get us there. We didn't get here overnight, and it surely would not go away overnight. But with the help of God, with the help of the clergy and our youth, the Bible says he called the old because they know the way. He called the young because they're strong. And we're not here to fight against each other. We're here to put those brains together. And if we got to stand behind our young people to hold them up, if we got to stand behind them to push them and share wisdom with them.
Obviously, it's working when you got corporate America now saying that Black Lives Matter. So we don't have to lead the way. All we need to do is be a support system at this time around. But we're there. We're standing in the gap. We're trying to make sure we keep it peaceful. And we're also praying for those who are involved. Another thing, there's a group called Preachers for the People. We marched on the courthouse. We marched to the Capitol last week, 2 weeks ago. So it's not necessary for us to be in the King generation now, not necessarily have a leader.
With the drum major instinct.
Right. We have the season. This is a season for judges. We don't have one particular leader, but we do have people that are stepping up. We have people that are being raised up because of the situation, because of what's happening, that are stepping to the plate. We're just here to support them.
Gerald Griggs is an attorney and social justice activist. It's now time for your generation.
Yeah.
Can this clergy help guide you or help you? What do they fit in what these young people are doing out here?
Well, I think that the clergy can always fit. I think that they're going to need to join with the young people and listen to the young people. As you can tell, the young people are policing themselves right now, and it's a beautiful sight to see. And so I think the clergy can support them as clergy as always, and I'm glad to see them out here speaking with the people and seeing that this is the people's place, the people's town, and we want justice for our dear brother Rashard Brooks.
It's impacting everybody, but mostly it's my age group and my generation that's at the forefront of this movement. The young people are usually at the forefront of almost every movement that's ever happened in the country, not only in the country but in the world. Like I said, it's extremely liberating, and I'm proud to be part of this generation.
Pastor Winston says the passionate protest for economic equity has revealed the lie Atlanta has been telling the world.
This whole fictional Atlanta way, we're seeing tension. We're seeing the shattering of that myth, if you will. Masses of people, this generation doesn't know anything about the so-called Atlanta way. We were raised in that. We were raised to where even opposing partner sides will sit down at the table of brotherhood and work things out. But there's a great working out that's yet to be in this generation. And that is something that is going to cause not just this city, but other cities to remain a powder keg.
Pastor Winston and other clergy members say Atlanta has now become the tale of two cities. Because of institutional racism and economic inequities, we now have a city of the haves and the have-nots. That must change, he says, to redeem the soul of our city. I'm Maynard Eaton reporting.